welcome to the Five Before podcast. My name is Brandy. For any of you guys who don't know me, I'm really excited to. I probably shouldn't be excited to talk to you about suffering today, but what's cool about suffering is that God uses it in so many different ways and stuff. And so today, I really wanted to talk mostly about loneliness. I think, I think it's easily um, said that loneliness is something that everybody experiences from time to time. And if you haven't ever experienced lonely, then welcome to 2020, because now this is the time to get some of that in. But what God's really been dealing with me is just that God uses our lonely times, our lonely places, um, and Jesus shows us how we should act when we're in those places for God to be able to use us. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So, um, when Jesus would go to these lonely places, I looked it up, and there were 6 times that specifically I was like, all right, this is definitely a lonely place. First, he went into the wilderness for 40 days praying in the wilderness. He was getting prepared for a major task. That was right. That was how, you know, that's how he prepared for his ministry to begin. So he spent his wilderness praying, and listen, he spent his days in the wilderness praying. And listen, I just think it's so cool when you think about it that, like, even Jesus, right? He needed to get alone with Jesus, right? And he prayed and he talked to the Father, and that's important. But even Jesus needed to get away and get alone with Jesus, out without the disciples, by himself. Um, and so that's something that we need to do. We're always trying to be more like Jesus. That's kind of our thing, right, as Christians. So we need to make sure that we're spending time with Jesus and that we're communicating and building relationship with the Father. Another time that Jesus gets alone and once again gets in prayer. Um, he spent the whole night alone in prayer before he chose his disciples. He had an important decision to make, a very big decision to make, and he got alone and he prayed. And it, he there were other times when he was distressed, just to focus on prayer. And this is what I kind of really wanted to get to was in Luke chapter 5, when he heals the man with leprosy. Um, you know, the story goes, he was on the towns, and he was walking through, and the leper came up to him and begged him. He said, "Lord, if you're willing, you can make me clean." Jesus reached out his hand. He touched the man. He said, "I am willing. Be clean." And immediately the leprosy left him. What was clean touched the unclean and made the unclean clean. That's a whole thing that I could spend some time on, but let's just get to the rest of the story. So then Jesus ordered him. He said, "Don't tell anybody," right? Listen, that shows us a lot right there about prioritizing purpose over popularity. But I'm still, I'm not stopping there. He said, "Go, show yourself to the priests and offer the sacrifices that Moses commanded for your cleansing as a testimony to them." Yet the news about him spread all the more, so that crowds of people came to hear him and to be healed of their sickness. But Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed. And I looked in all the Bible commentaries I could, and actually there wasn't a commentary for the withdrawing, the last line, that Luke 5:16, for Jesus withdrawing to lonely places and praying. And I just thought about that, and I started thinking about how Jesus was getting alone with Jesus, and he was praying, he was talking to the Father, and the times he was doing this, were major times in his life. I'm not I'm not saying these were the only times that he got alone and spent time with the Father. I'm saying that I think the Bible focuses some of the stories on these things so that we understand sometimes when we're feeling lonely. And listen, when I say lonely, I don't mean that you're physically not around people. Um, Lonely doesn't mean alone. You can be in a room full of people and still be lonely. It has nothing to do with physical presence of people. Loneliness is a feeling. Um, and And I think that God uses feelings like loneliness to prompt us to respond in the way that He has called us to respond, to spend time in prayer, to spend time alone with Jesus, and to spend time growing in relationship with the Father. Um, and so, listen, I'm not saying that being lonely all the time is okay. In fact, being lonely too much is very bad for your health. I mean, I looked it up. It's as bad as smoking or, obesity or anything else, but I really think that there are times in our life where we're lonely because God has a purpose for our loneliness. And so, listen, I just want to encourage anybody who's hearing this today that if you're in a lonely season, if you're in a lonely place, um, get along with Jesus, build relationship with the Father, pray, and most importantly, make the most of your lonely season. Don't let it go to waste. God doesn't like to waste anything, so why waste any suffering? That's just the way I feel about it. Anyhow, I hope that encouraged somebody today. I love you guys, and have a great rest of your day.